All right, we're continuing our series, working our way through the Rise of Red Skull box, talking about the precons basically of Spider-Woman. Today we're talking about two huge cards. They don't get played for me as much as they used to, but one was like an imperative card for Ronin, and the other one's a really good Justice Ally, but it's kind of tough to play. But I think for me personally, he's slowly making a comeback. So we're going to talk about these two cards. But before we do me a huge favor, scroll down below, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications so you know when my videos go live. I greatly appreciate it. We almost at 6,500 subscribers, which is wild to me that we've grown that much in this amount of time. Also, let you know when we go live, which is a lot of fun. Which, speaking about being live, go over to twitch.tv/D20 Woodworking. It's a lot more fun on that side. Sorry, YouTube. Love you. But the Twitch side has a lot more emotes. It has a lot more things you could do, a lot more interaction. It's a great time. Even if we're not playing Marvel Champions, we're doing something else. It's a lot of fun. So, anyway, let's go check out Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Justice Ally, and Piercing Strike. The first one to talk about is Piercing Strike. It's a 2-cost event, aggression card. It's attack, hero action, attack. Deal 3 damage to an enemy. This attack gains piercing, so it takes off the tough before you have to do anything else. This was a massive card for me when going against Ronin for the first time, right? Because Ronin has a lot of toughs on him, and tough for a solo player will slow down momentum. Tough is a momentum killer for a solo player, especially when you're lining up all these big hits. What's nice with Piercing Strike is that for 2 costs, right, you could use a double red, normal double, whatever it may be, and get that tough off and deal 3 damage. Is 2 for 3 damage good? No, it's not really good. But getting that tough status off is massive on top of that 3 damage. This card is what helps me beat Ronin when I'm not using like Star-Lord. Even actually when I am using Star-Lord, I'll still put it in. But I need to get through that. So I know a lot of people struggle with Ronin. If you go a 3-card turn strategy, which we've talked about in this channel before, if you go with that strategy, having piercing strikes in there helps a lot because again, you want to pierce off that tough. So besides that, I haven't used this card that much, and I feel like I should again because we're running into more toughs. Now again, I know people make the argument that a 2 for 3 damage is a really bad value, and it is really bad value, but getting rid of the tough is huge value. Right? I, as a solo player, and as a like when you're playing multiplayer, I get the argument more that you shouldn't be doing it because I kind of get that it's not as efficient. You rather have bigger attacks and other things to build off of. But for a solo player, tough slows everything down. Tough is just tough to deal with. And I think if you're struggling a lot against tough, and there's a lot of them coming in, you need to figure out a way to get rid of it. This is what makes Wolverine so incredibly good solo, is that he laughs at all the tough statuses, right? He naturally can pierce everything. So for me, with Piercing Strike, I highly recommend it if you're dealing with the villains in solo that have a lot of tough. I know a lot of people are struggling with this right now because there's more and more of it. Use Piercing Strike. And I still use it to this day. Not as much as I used to, but because we had like a lull where there wasn't that many tough statuses, but I still use it a ton. All right, now we have Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Justice Ally, 5-cost ally, 2/2/4 stat line. After you play Spider-Man from your hand, remove 3 threat from a side scheme. Which this is kind of interesting now because with personal side schemes, they are a side scheme. So if you had a personal side scheme in there, this could actually clear out probably most personal side schemes for solo, which is kind of cool. Actually, even for multiplayer, because it does scale per player, right? It's 3 threat per player, which is kind of interesting the way it works. This card, the biggest, downfall, I guess, of this card is that it's 5 costs, right? And if you have 5 cards in your hand and one of them is this ally, you better hope one of those other cards is a double, right? You're basically using your entire hand to play Spider-Man, Peter Parker, so it needs to be as effective and efficient as possible. Now, obviously, if you have doubles, it's better. If you have resource generators on the board, it's better. There's a lot of ways to lower the cost of this or, help the cost of this. But if you don't have a side scheme to remove, it's a little bit useless to play this card. Now, there have always been side schemes around, right? But a lot of the times you could easily clear it out with 2, or it still didn't make sense to play this card. I think nowadays it makes more sense if you have a player side scheme in the field. And the reason I say that is because player side schemes are very good, but they can slow down your momentum, right? We always talk about this in the solo side of things. A lot of solo is momentum based. If you are like suddenly, instead of doing what you need to do on the board and you're focusing on a player side scheme to get like a benefit, you have to be kind of careful with its timing, right? You have to be careful how you do things. Spider-Man Peter Parker kind of allows you to still get that ally out there that can attack or thwart what you need to do. Take care of that personal side scheme. And yes, you can't play cards in your hands, but you could still exhaust. You could still do whatever you need to do. If the personal side scheme, let you deal damage to something or bring in something or whatever, like knock out a minion that's not elite, all that stuff helps. Or if it allows you to bring in a upgrade or support for your hero, there's a lot of ways that it can help. So for me, I've kind of played around with this more recently because I used it a little bit in the beginning, then I stopped, and now I'm using it more when it comes to personal side schemes, because usually, especially if you do one of the basic ones that gives you an upgrade or support, being able to clear that out or get pretty close to clearing that out is super helpful in my opinion. And now I play Spider-Man. Yes, it cost me 5, but I also now have a support or an upgrade or something now in play as well, like I played the card, right? So it kind of evens out for me a little bit more. It justifies it a little bit more for me. So I like this card now. I don't run it a ton, but I do like the card more nowadays than I did before. So I still think it's got its place, but it's just kind of changed over time. All right, so as always, let me know your thoughts about these 2 cards down below in the comments. I greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you've been enjoying this series, and I will see you all next time.